Let's unpack this feeling. You know the one. You're talking
Yeah.
to someone, maybe it's a colleague, could be your kid, maybe even just like ordering something online, and they give you two options.
Hmm.
You pick one, you feel pretty decisive, right? And then like moments later you realize, wait a minute. No matter which one I picked, I ended up exactly where they wanted me to be. It's kind of subtle, a bit unnerving sometimes. That feeling of guided destiny.
Yeah, that phenomenon, it feels like maybe sophisticated manipulation, but it's actually a really refined communication strategy. We call it the Milton Double Bind.
The Milton Double Bind, okay.
Yeah, named after the clinical hypnotist Milton H. Erickson.
Mm-hmm.
His work, his groundbreaking stuff, it was all about understanding and, getting around conscious resistance.
Okay, hang on. That immediately makes me think, why are we talking about hypnotist technique when we're discussing like workplace stuff or parenting?
Ah, that's the crucial link, isn't it? Erickson's influence, it led directly to the development of neuro-linguistic programming, NLP.
Right, NLP, I've heard of that.
So NLP basically took those really effective language patterns, the ones Erickson used to influence action in, say, a clinical setting, and sort of translated them, made them into practical, conscious communication tools for everyday influence.
Okay.
So our mission today, really, is to cut through the jargon. We want to show you the anatomy of this double bind, explore the critical ethical side of it, and make sure you know how to use it, and just as importantly, how to spot it when it's being used on you.
Got it. So let's get specific then. At its core, this Milton Double Bind thing, it's about creating an illusion of choice. Is that fair?
That's a great way to put it.
You offer the listener maybe two, maybe more options, but the key is every single one leads back to the communicator's goal. The listener feels like they have total autonomy.
And that perception of control, that feeling of autonomy, is precisely what drives compliance. It's fascinating, the psychology behind it.
So why does it work so well?
Well, humans, we're kind of hardwired to value control. If you just issue a direct command, do this, you invite the conscious mind to argue, right, to resist, maybe put it off.
Yeah, definitely. You get pushback.
Exactly. But when you offer limited options, even if the destination is already set, you satisfy that need for autonomy. Compliance just skyrockets because the brain shifts focus. It starts thinking about which choice to make, not whether a choice should be made at all.
Okay, so if the choice is just an illusion, how is this pattern actually structured? It can't just be pick A or B, both lead here, can it? There must be more to it.
Oh yeah, definitely. It really needs four critical components to work smoothly. First, there's the desired outcome. That's the goal, the non-negotiable part, usually unspoken.
The thing you actually want to happen.
Spot on. Second, you need to craft two or more favorable options. And they really do need to be genuinely acceptable, palatable paths towards that outcome.
Right, and the third piece, I guess this ensures the listener doesn't feel cornered, right? This is the appeal to values or benefits. You frame the choices so they connect with something the listener actually cares about. Convenience, saving money, maybe just enjoyment.
Precisely. But the real engine, the insight that makes it a double bind and not just a simple choice, is the fourth component, presupposition.
Presupposition. Okay, what does that mean here?
It means the bind fundamentally presupposes that the action will be taken. It takes the if off the table. The listener is only deciding on the minor details around that action, the how or the when.
Okay, let's use that classic example, the one from the materials about the report, a task that just has to get done. If I ask a colleague, will you finish the report? Well, that just opens the door to resistance, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's a direct question. It invites a yes or a no. The double bind cleverly removes the no option entirely.
So instead, I frame it like, would you prefer to finish the report before lunch or maybe right after? The action itself, finishing the report, is basically guaranteed. The only options are about the timing.
Exactly. The person feels they have agency because they control their schedule, how they fit it in. That makes a huge psychological difference.
Yeah, I can see that. But that power, that very effectiveness, it brings us straight to the ethical questions, doesn't it?
It really does. It's an ethical tightrope. When people first hear about this, the immediate reaction is often, isn't that just manipulation? The dark side of persuasion. Is it just a trick?
It's a really important discussion to have. We absolutely have to draw a line based on the intent behind it all. If the intent is purely self-serving, if you're coercing someone towards a goal that ignores their well-being or maybe even harms it, well, that's unequivocally unethical. That is the dark side.
Definitely. However, there's also a powerful bright side, especially when you're guiding someone towards a choice that's genuinely beneficial for everyone involved.
A win-win situation.
Exactly. When the underlying desired outcome is actually positive for all parties, maybe it leads to better health or more efficiency for the team, or even just helps someone overcome procrastination that's hurting them, then it shifts. It moves from manipulation towards ethical influence.
But I wonder, even in situations like, say, a manager assigning a task, there's always a power imbalance, isn't there? Can it truly be a win-win if the employee doesn't really have the option to say no to the task itself?
That's a very fair point, and it highlights the nuance. The ethical responsibility really falls on the communicator. You have to ensure the options you offer are truly beneficial, or at least respectful, to the receiver, even if the main action itself isn't optional.
So it's about the quality of the choices offered within the bind.
Yes. If the employee gets to choose between options that respect their workflow, their deadlines, their preferences, that's ethical guidance. But if the options are essentially work 12 hours starting now or work 12 hours starting later, well, that's just coercion dressed up as choice.
Okay, that makes sense. So the real test isn't just the outcome, but the impact of the choices themselves. And when used ethically, the benefits are pretty compelling. It speeds up decision-making, right? Cuts through the friction, especially when people feel overwhelmed by open-ended questions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it creates instant buy-in. Because the person feels like they made the decision, they feel ownership over it.
And it saves time, avoids conflict, because you skip the whole argument about whether to do something and jump straight to how.
You bypass a lot of unnecessary debate, yeah.
Okay, let's make this really concrete. How does this play out in the real world? Let's start with something tricky like guiding behavior, where you often get resistance parenting, maybe education.
The universal struggle, right?
Yeah.
Getting kids ready for something they have to do, like bath time or homework. A simple command, go take a bath now, is often just an invitation for a negotiation battle.
Oh, tell me about it. So how does an ethical double bind work here?
Well, you acknowledge the necessary outcome the bath has to happen, but you weave in perceived benefits within the choices. You might say something like, okay, bath time. Do you want to take your bath right now and get to choose 2 of the special rubber ducks? Or do you want to wait 10 minutes and you can pick out which bath bomb we use?
Ah, I see. Both options lead to the bath, but the child gets to choose the path that feels more fun or gives them control over a small detail. They pick their treat.
Exactly. They feel that sense of control, which makes compliance much easier.
Okay, now let's shift gears. What about professional settings? How does this apply at work?
This is where we can start seeing sort of the pro-level application. And it doesn't always have to be just 2 choices. Sometimes giving 3 or 4 genuinely beneficial options can be even more effective. It feels less like you're being boxed in.
Right. That makes it subtler, doesn't it? Less like an obvious bind. So, for instance, if I'm managing a project and we need to decide on priorities for the week ahead.
Instead of just 2 things.
Yeah, I wouldn't just give 2 options. I might say to the team, okay, team, to make sure we hit our deadline, we need to really focus on one major pillar next week. Would you prefer we dedicate our efforts to optimizing the current sales funnel, or should we focus on getting that initial social media campaign launched? Or perhaps we should put all our energy into the Q3 product development roadmap.
See, you've offered 3 distinct, valuable pathways. All of them achieve the desired outcome, which is focused, productive work that week.
Right.
But you respect their autonomy over the methodology, over what they tackle first. That small grant of control over the sequence, it massively increases ownership.
Yeah, I can definitely see how that would work. We see the same idea in sales and client interactions too, right? Where the bind can make the experience better by linking payment or the purchase itself to the customer's values.
Absolutely. Instead of a flat functional question like, how will you be paying, which just focuses on the transaction.
You frame it as a value choice using a bind. You might ask, would you prefer to pay with cash today and save instantly on those transaction fees? Or would you perhaps like to use your card for the convenience of instant payment and make sure you collect your rewards points?
The perfect example. They're still paying. That's the presupposed action. But they get to choose based on what they value more in that moment.
Yeah.
Immediate savings or long-term rewards and convenience. It feels like you're catering to them, which makes the whole interaction feel less, well, transactional.
Nice. And maybe the most powerful application is using this on ourselves.
Oh, absolutely. You can totally harness this cognitive pattern internally.
Right.
It's incredibly effective, especially when you're fighting procrastination.
Right. When that necessary task, like, say, exercise, just feels way too big or daunting, the double bind stops your brain from defaulting to no action, instead of just vaguely thinking, ugh, I should probably go to the gym, which, let's be honest, often leads nowhere.
You set up the bind internally. Your self-talk becomes something like, okay, brain, do I want to do 30 minutes of higher intensity cardio now and feel really energized for the rest of the day? Or do I want to do just 15 minutes of low impact strength training and feel that sense of accomplishment for just getting started?
So you commit to some form of exercise. You let your brain pick the path of least resistance to starting, which guarantees the main outcome, getting active.
Exactly. It lowers the barrier to entry.
That's a really useful technique. So that's the pro-level approach, using these patterns for our own motivation. But maybe the real power of understanding all this is developing the awareness, the discernment, to recognize it when it's directed at us. How do we stay conscious and keep our agency?
That's the critical skill, isn't it? You have to learn to pause and just identify the structure. When you're presented with what feels like a limited choice, you need to ask yourself 3 key questions to sort of reclaim conscious control.
Okay, what's the first one?
First, simply ask, why am I being given these specific choices? Who framed this decision for me? And what's their goal? Both the stated one and maybe the unstated one.
Right. Question the framing. And the second question.
The second one is maybe the most important for checking the ethics. Who or what do these options truly benefit? Is this looking like a genuine win-win where both options offer real value to me? Or is the benefit tilted primarily towards the person who set up the bind?
Good one. And the third.
And finally, are there really no other alternatives? What options, including maybe the option of doing nothing right now or delaying the action, are being deliberately kept off the table? By recognizing what's being presupposed, what's being assumed, you shift from just being a participant reacting to the choices to being an active decision maker.
That makes sense. You're essentially deconstructing the bind. And if someone wants to get better at using this ethically themselves, any tips?
Yeah, the practice is pretty straightforward. First, practice on yourself. Use it for small personal things, like deciding whether to clean out your inbox now or organize those files later. Get a feel for it internally.
Okay.
Second, just observe others. Pay attention when choices are presented in meetings, in emails, and conversations. Was the destination already decided? How are the options framed?
Become an observer.
Exactly. And third, always be crystal clear on your own desired outcome first. Then get creative. Think about how you can weave genuine benefits for the other person into the options you present. It has to feel fair.
Okay, so wrapping this up then, the main takeaway seems pretty clear. The Milton Double Bind isn't automatically manipulation unless that's the intent behind it. Used ethically, it's a really powerful way to apply what we know about human psychology. It leverages our need for autonomy by giving an illusion of choice to help guide action.
And always remember that core distinction. A simple choice allows for no or inaction. The double bind always presupposes the action will happen. The choice is just about the how or the when, the form or the sequence it takes.
Right. And since this works just as well in writing, emails, texts, even contracts, I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to maybe mull over this week.
Ooh, okay.
The next time you send an email asking a logistical question, pause for a second. Ask yourself, are you truly giving a choice here, or are you subtly presupposing the action?
Like, if you send that email saying, hey, could you let me know if you'd prefer the draft analysis in PDF or maybe Google Doc format by end of day Tuesday, think about what you've already assumed.
Yeah.
You've assumed the analysis will be reviewed and that feedback will come by Tuesday. So the challenge for you this week is just observe this pattern. Look for it in your own inbox, both the messages you send and the ones you receive. You might be surprised how often you find yourself, or others, choosing the how rather than ever questioning the if.